Breaking news, folks. I'm not wearing a hat today. I couldn't really find a hat that matches this shirt. If you notice, I just like to wear hats. It's not because I'm bald or have bad hair or anything like that. People seem to think some crazy things, but no, I just like wearing hats. But you're not here to hear about my hat wearing. You're here to hear about video game news. Got a couple stories going on that I definitely want to cover. First time on the channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button, like, comment, and share. Hit the bell notification as well. But without any further ado, let's talk about what's going on in the world of video games. We have a very, very exciting announcement. We have announced some new Sega Genesis Mini 2 games that will be coming to the platform. Now, this was announced on the Japanese side of things, but I think what they're doing with this is, if there's a American version of the game, that's what we'll get on our system. And if there's not, you know, they might put it on there. We saw some of the games in the original library of games that was revealed that were Japanese only exclusive. I don't think they're going to do things that rely heavily on Japanese text, because that wouldn't really make sense to do it for the West. Of course, this does come out on October 27th. It's available only through Amazon, through pre-order, and you have to pre-order it from Japan. So it says it's coming like sometime in November. Trust me, folks, I'm trying to get my greasy, disgusting mitts on one before the launch date of the system. I am trying to woo Sega into sending me one. I do have a good little relationship with them, but we're here to talk about the new games. And the new games on here, there's some bangers, folks. There are some bangers. Like I said, there is some random Japanese stuff that I'm not familiar with, some weird sumo game, but Alien Soldier, which of course was confirmed for the North American version, has been confirmed for the Japanese version. So that's just sort of a double thing, you know, double confirmation of that game. Truxton was announced to be on the system. Now, when it comes to Truxton, the Sega Genesis version of the game is arguably better than the arcade version of the game because it has better balancing. Some people like the music better on Sega Genesis too. You know, it is what it is. It comes down to personal preference. I can enjoy both of them, but it's a really fun shoot 'em up game. Final Fight CD will be on this. I've actually always wanted to check out Final Fight CD. At the time, this was like the best version of Final Fight that was available on home consoles. It did have some kind of egregious loading times on here. I'm sure they'll be able to, you know, trim those down, but this is a nice Sega CD game to be included on here. We also have Street Fighter 2, the new challengers on here as well, which was a very popular Sega Genesis game. You know, it added in a lot of additional characters such as T-Hawk that, you know, everyone likes T-Hawk. I think he's cool or whatever. So that's a nice game to see on this list. I probably will check out this game. And the fact that, of course, this comes with a 6-button controller now, you know, it makes things a lot better. And it makes things a lot more playable than they would have been otherwise if you had to use a 3-button controller. They showcased some other games, but then they showed 2 games. And I was like, yo, bangers. Bangers. And not only are they bangers, but they're stupid, expensive games for the Sega CD, and that is Lunar and Lunar 2. Some of the best RPGs of all time for a lot of people. You know, I can understand why they think that. And these are games that, like I said, they're super stupid expensive on the Sega CD, and now you'll be able to play them on this system. Like I said, this isn't 100% confirmed to be coming to the West, but like I said, also, if there's a Western version of the game, they'll put it on the system. And since Lunar did come out in the West, I would assume that both of these games are going to end up on the North American Sega Genesis Mini 2. So, like, this is great. Like, this is great stuff here. Assuming that all these games that I just talked about, as far as the bangers, the heavy hitters, do come stateside in that version of the system, like, this thing is going to be freaking awesome, dude. I'm assuming that M2 is handling the emulation as they handled the emulation on the first system. So there's a ton of potential with this. Obviously, there are a few more secret games that haven't been announced for Japan. Will they be the same as what we get in North America? Who really knows? But as it stands, like, throw Snatcher on this thing, and maybe throw like 1 or 2 more Sega CD games on there, and this is an absolute must-buy, and arguably one of the best libraries of games to be released on a mini console, like ever. Like ever. There's so much diversity, and there's so much, you know, because you're dealing with 2 different systems here, so I don't know. I'm obviously super stoked on this. Go check out my first video on the Sega Genesis Mini 2 to see the other games that are already announced. There's already tons of bangers on there, and this system, the more we hear about it, the better it ends up becoming. I am trying to get my hands on one early, or at least on the release date. Come on, Sega. Come on, Sega, hook me up. You hooked me up with the Genesis Mini one. We did lots of business on the channel. It did great. Let's continue to do business together. But regardless, I bought one. Have you bought one? And if so, what games would you like to see added to the system, as of course we are sort of winding down to the final few? Let me know in the comments down below. And finally, I think we've all pretty much come to accept that there's not going to be a July Nintendo Direct. Anyone that's still talking about July Nintendo Direct as far as a content creator is concerned, you might be crazy, dude. You might need to see a doctor or something like that. There's nothing wrong with that, but you need to admit that you have a problem, because there's not going to be one. Okay, we've seen so many things that say that's not going to be a Direct. They literally announced a Switch OLED variant without a Nintendo Direct. They literally announced Bayonetta 3, one of the biggest games of 2022, gave it a release date trailer, gave it a brand new trailer, and they didn't do it in a Direct. So there's no rhyme or reason for them to do a Direct this month. They're probably just going to wait until September, as really we do know what's coming out for Nintendo, at least with most things. Games such as Xenoblade Chronicles 3 and Bayonetta 3 are now pretty much confirmed with release dates, so there isn't a whole lot of speculation. There isn't a whole lot of mystery as far as what Nintendo is going to do. Of course, they did that other Kirby game in there as well. There's no reason for a July Nintendo Direct, except for one thing. And the one thing is, what the hell is going on with the Nintendo Switch Online expansion pack? Because you might remember when the expansion pack was first announced, they showcased a bunch of games for it. They said, these are the games that are coming out on day one, and these are the games that will release over time. Well, we've come to the over time portion of it. We've already gotten all those games now, with Pokemon Puzzle League coming out yesterday. Now, like I said, I've never played Pokemon Puzzle League. I don't know anything about this game. I might check it out just out of sheer curiosity, but to me, it just looks like a match puzzle game, which, you know, they're kind of a dime a dozen. They can be addictive. They can be fun. I'm not trying to hate on this game or anything like that. Obviously, the Pokemon aspect of it does bring some additional joy to people, but realistically, it's not really a game for me. Well, Nintendo, now they're like, oh, well, what's next? What's next? What are we doing for the next N64 games? Are there going to be more N64 games? We all sort of assume that there's going to be more N64 games because that makes sense. But with Nintendo, it's like, yo, maybe there's not. Maybe this is the end of the road. At the end of the road, and I can't let it go. So much to me. You belong to me. I belong to you. Sorry. But they made a tweet yesterday that kind of reassures people, or it makes them even more confused. All right, so here's the tweet in question. Become a Pokemon Puzzle Master in Pokemon Puzzle League. Now available for Nintendo Switch for N64 expansion pack. The God, the name is so long and contrived. And there's a little box up for it. More, and look, more Nintendo 64 games will be added to Nintendo Switch Online plus expansion pack. Stay tuned. So, like, you know, this is obviously kind of a bigger deal than this game coming out, considering that we know it. Looks like there's a muted account here. I don't know who that is. I'll look off screen. I don't block people. I just mute them. And half the time it's just like, I don't know why I mute them. I just find them annoying. Maybe one day I'll reveal who it is. But more Nintendo 64 games will be added to Nintendo Switch Online plus expansion pack. Stay tuned. So, what the hell's going on then? At least we had a little bit of a roadmap of what the games were going to be. Does that mean that there's more games coming out this year? Or are they going to wait a little while? Like, look at the consistency of things like NES and SNES. Like, they're just completely random. And obviously, you could do games on those systems to sort of offset the need and the yearning for N64 games, but it's just too much damn mystery. So, I mean, at least on one hand, it is good that they are doing more games. It's good because obviously, you know, games like Wave Race, 1080, Mischief Makers. I'm just looking at my N64 shelf over here. I already did win back. The fighting games you could do. Resident Evil 2. I would love that version on there. But, like, there's a lot of games that you could do for the N64. So it's like, do them. Do them. Get the licensing stuff. Body Harvest. One of the most underrated games of all time for the N64. Like, the controls are a little wonky, but if you can get past the controls, like, super good, like, open world style game, like, let's get some of these games on here. Let's get some of these games on here. Let's get them in a timely manner. And what are these games going to be? Because you're not telling us a damn thing about this, and it's just like, I mean, Nintendo's good at Nintendo. What more can you say? Alrighty, so that's going to do it for today's video. I actually looked at the Twitter account that I muted, and I don't know why they were muted. I don't have any problem with them or anything like that. I had a suspicion of who it was, but it was not that person. So I'm going to unmute that person now because I don't have a problem with them. I don't know what happened. But let me know what you think of everything in the comment section down below. The new Sega Genesis Mini 2 games. Are you excited for them? Because you should be, because there's some bangers on there. And of course, what the hell is Nintendo doing with the N64 stuff? Do you think, here's the question, do you think we're going to see more N64 games this year? Or do you think they're going to wait and just kind of fill out the other systems in the meantime? Because, I mean, let's keep it a buck. There's not a whole hell of a lot of N64 games that they could realistically add here because of things like licensing issues, and there's kind of a lot of bad games on the system. And as always, guys, thank you for checking out this video. If you are new to the channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button, like, comment, and share. Hit the bell notification as well. And as always, I'll catch you guys on the next video. Be sure to subscribe to the secondary channel too, RGT Live and Extras. I actually went live last night for like 2 hours. You missed it because you're not subscribed, so subscribe to that. Later.